Think Canada is just a quiet observer on the world stage? Look again. While global headlines focus on brute force, Ottawa is quietly mastering a new era of smart power. Have you ever wondered how a nation with 68,000 troops effectively guards the world's longest coastline and the most contested frontier on Earth? From the $60 billion rebirth of our Royal Canadian Navy to our high-tech shield in the Arctic, we're breaking down why Canada's military evolution is NATO's most vital secret. Is our quiet strength enough to secure our sovereignty through? Let's analyze the steel beneath the ice. Look, I'm sitting here today because I'm tired of hearing the same old tired narrative that Canada is just a polite neighbor with a handful of peacekeepers and some old equipment. And if you're a Canadian watching this, especially if you've seen the world change as much as I have over the last 40 or 50 years, you know that the reality on the ground, or should I say, the reality under the ice, is something entirely different. We are living in 2026, a year where the geopolitical chessboard isn't just being rearranged, it's being lit on fire. And yet, here we are, Canada, sitting quietly at the top of the world, holding a hand of cards that most nations would kill for. People look at the United States, Russia, or China, and they see the massive fleets and the nuclear posturing. But they miss the surgical precision of what we're building right here in our own backyard. We've moved past the era of brute force. We're playing the game of smart power. And let me tell you, it's about time someone spoke up about the sheer strategic weight we're carrying for the entire Western Alliance. We are talking about nearly 10 million square kilometers of territory, a landmass so vast it's almost impossible to comprehend. And we're guarding it with a philosophy that isn't about how many bodies you can put in a trench, but how much tech and training you can pack into every single move. Our Canadian Armed Forces might only count around 68,000 active personnel and another 27,000 in the reserves. And yeah, that sounds small on paper when you're comparing us to the giants. But what the critics don't realize, what they never realize until it's too late, is that Canada isn't built for a show of force. We're built for a strategic impact that changes the game before the other guy even knows it started. When you look at our history with NATO, from the frozen hills of Korea to the deserts of Afghanistan and the skies over Libya, Canadian soldiers have always been the ones the Allies want standing right next to them. Because our training quality is, quite frankly, unmatched in the Western world. We don't just participate, we integrate. And in 2026, that interoperability is the most lethal weapon in the arsenal. We've spent decades perfecting cold weather warfare and logistics in environments that would make a regular soldier pack up and go home. And that's why, when Russia made its move on Ukraine, Canada was right there in the front row. Not with a lot of noise or chest thumping, but with advanced military aid and training missions that actually worked. We don't need the fanfare because the reliability is baked into our DNA. And let's get serious for a second about the geography, because that's the real natural shield that everyone underestimates. We stretch from the Atlantic to the Pacific and deep, deep into the Arctic. And as that polar ice continues to melt at an alarming rate, what used to be a frozen wasteland is now the most valuable real estate on the planet. We are looking at massive, untapped reserves of oil, gas, and minerals that the rest of the world is starving for. And Canada is the gatekeeper. The Arctic is the new frontier of global competition, and make no mistake, it is NATO's front line against any Russian incursion coming over the top of the world. This is why we're seeing billions, and I mean billions of dollars being poured into the Royal Canadian Air Force and the Royal Canadian Navy. Not to go start wars 5,000 miles away, but to ensure that if you step into our backyard, you're going to be met with the most advanced surveillance and response systems ever devised. We are modernizing NORAD with the United States, Because the old North warning system just isn't enough anymore in an age of hypersonic missiles that move faster than a bullet. We're putting in next-generation sensors that can pick up a whisper in the wind from thousands of kilometers away. This isn't just about defense, it's about sovereignty. The kind of sovereignty that my generation remembers being a point of pride, and seeing it come back with this kind of technological teeth is something that should make every Canadian stand a little taller today. We are essential to Western security, not because we're loud, but because we're indispensable. You look at our air power, and sure, 400 aircraft might look modest, but look at the modernization happening right now. The debate over the F-35 versus the Swedish Saab Gripen E wasn't just about buying a shiny new toy. It was a fundamental question of what kind of nation we want to be. Do we want the stealth and the integration of the F-35? Or do we want the rugged, Arctic-optimized independence of the Gripen? Either way, the message to the world is clear. Our skies are not open for business. We operate seamlessly with the Americans, sharing radar data and satellite feeds in real time, which means no one moves in North American airspace without a Canadian officer knowing about it. That is power, my friends. Real, quiet, bureaucratic, and lethal power. And don't even get me started on the Navy, because what we're doing with the Canadian Surface Combatant Program is absolutely staggering. $60 billion to replace the Halifax-class frigates with warships that are basically floating fortresses. We're talking about Aegis combat systems and radar suites that can track everything from a drone to a ballistic missile. These aren't just ships. They're the backbone of the North Atlantic. And we're backing them up with the Harry DeWolf-class patrol vessels, specifically designed for those icy waters where other ships just can't go. We're projecting sovereignty into places the world thought were unreachable, and we're doing it with a Canadian flag on the mast. It's a balanced fleet, designed for the reality of 2026, focusing on flexibility and intelligence. Our Victoria-class submarines might be getting older, but they're still down there, silent and invisible, monitoring every move Russia or China makes in our waters. It's that expeditionary excellence that defines us. We don't need 1 million men when we have the best trained, best equipped, and most adaptable force in the world. Whether it's urban combat in Europe or high-tech reconnaissance in the desert, the Canadian soldier is the gold standard. And that elite reputation is something our allies respect more than almost anything else. We are the connector, the bridge between Europe, America, and the Indo-Pacific. And we are punching so far above our weight, it's almost laughable that people still call us a middle power. We are a strategic anchor, and as we move toward that 2% GDP spending target, we're showing the world that the days of leaning on the U.S. for everything are over. We are independent, we are prepared, and we are holding the line. This is the truth about Canadian military power in 2026. It's not a loud, flashy display of ego. It's a deep, cold, and unrelenting commitment to our land and our allies. And it's something that every single one of us should be incredibly proud of, because when the world gets dangerous, it's Canada that keeps the watch. Now, stay with me, because if the first part of our breakdown was about the cold steel we're putting in the water and the sensors we're piercing the sky with, then this second half is where we talk about the invisible shield and the sheer human brilliance that makes Canada the ultimate X factor in global security for 2026. We need to stop thinking about military power as just something you can touch or see on a parade ground in Ottawa. In this day and age, the real war is being fought in the digital shadows and the vacuum of space. And this is where Canada is quietly becoming an absolute titan. We have moved into an era where the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity and the Communication Security Establishment, our own CSE, are no longer just back-office intelligence shops. They are the frontline infantry of the 21st century. When you look at the demographic watching this, people like us, who have built businesses, raised families, and seen the world move from rotary phones to artificial intelligence, you understand that security today means protecting the grid, the banking system, and the very data that keeps our country running. Canada has integrated civilian innovation with military necessity in a way that would make larger nations envious. We are talking about a collaboration between our world-class universities, our tech hubs in Waterloo and Canada, and our defense agencies to create AI-driven reconnaissance that can sift through petabytes of data to find a single threat before it even crosses our border. This isn't just defense, it's national resilience. I want to get personal for a second, because I know how much we value our sovereignty. Think about the pride we felt when we saw Canadian technology on the moon, or our engineers leading the way in global aviation. That same spirit is now being funneled into a massive, silent infrastructure of defense. We are talking about a total transformation of how a nation our size projects influence. You see, the world thinks they can bypass Canada because we don't have 1 million men under arms. But they don't realize that we are the brain in the NATO nervous system. Our communication systems, our encryption, and our ability to manage a battlefield using AI-based logistics, that is the real force multiplier. In 2026, the Canadian Armed Forces aren't just a combat group, they are a high-tech network. Our integration of the Sapphire satellite system is a perfect example. Most people go about their day not realizing that Canada is one of the few nations capable of tracking orbital debris and foreign satellite movements with that level of precision. We are the ones feeding that data to the Five Eyes, ensuring that the satellites the world relies on for GPS, banking, and communications stay safe. This is sovereignty in the 21st century. It's not just about guarding the land. It's about guarding the signals that pass over it. And let's look at our special operations, CANSOFCOM. I've seen the way these guys work, and let me tell you, their professionalism is chilling in the best way possible. These men and women are the silent professionals. While other countries' elite units are busy making movies and writing books, ours are on the ground, in the most shadow-drenched corners of the globe, doing the work that keeps the world stable. Their global reputation among the Tier 1 units, the SEALs, the SAS, is legendary. They specialize in the impossible, hostage rescue, counterterrorism, and high-stakes reconnaissance, and they do it with a Canadian humility that masks a lethal efficiency. When an ally is in a bind, they don't just call for more troops. They call for the Canadians, because they know we bring a level of urban combat and hybrid warfare expertise that has been honed through years of quiet, relentless training. We've upgraded our ground game too. The LAV-60 and those Leopard 2 tanks aren't just vehicles. They are mobile command centers integrated into a battlefield management system. This is the Maple Leaf way, precision over saturation. But here is where it gets really interesting for those of us who care about our global standing. Canada has moved beyond being just a junior partner to the U.S. We are now a strategic anchor in our own right. Look at our pivot to the Indo-Pacific. We are a three-ocean nation, and for too long, we focused only on the Atlantic. But in 2026, we have ships in the South China Sea. We are training with the Japanese and the Australians, and we are making it clear that the Pacific is our backyard too. This isn't about aggression. It's about ensuring that the rules-based order survives. We know that if those shipping lanes are choked off, the Canadian economy feels it in every grocery store and gas station from Victoria to St. John's. We are protecting our way of life. And let's talk about that $60 billion price tag for the Canadian Surface Combatant Program. Some people flinch at the number, but I want you to think about what it buys us. It buys us a seat at the head of the table. It buys us 15 of the most advanced warships ever to sail the Atlantic. These ships, equipped with the Aegis combat system, are essentially floating iron domes. They can intercept missiles that are moving at hypersonic speeds. When we send a frigate into a NATO task force, we aren't just providing a ship. We are providing the fleet's primary defense. That is how a country of 40 million people becomes indispensable to an alliance of 1 billion. We are also doubling down on our Arctic patrol vessels. The Harry DeWolf class is a masterstroke of design for our specific needs. They aren't meant to fight a carrier group. They are meant to sustain a presence in the ice where nobody else can survive. They are the physical manifestation of, "This is ours." We are protecting untapped oil, gas, and minerals that will fund our grandchildren's future. We are making sure that as the Northwest Passage opens up, it's Canadian laws, Canadian environmental standards, and Canadian security that govern it. This is a moment of immense national pride. We are no longer waiting for a threat. We are anticipating it. I've heard the critics, the ones who say we're too slow or that recruitment is tough. Yeah, those are real challenges, and we shouldn't sugarcoat them. But look at the response. We are seeing a new generation of Canadians stepping up, attracted not by the promise of old-school war, but by the promise of being at the cutting edge of technology and service. We are fixing the procurement process, making it faster, more efficient, and focused on what our soldiers actually need. We are building a military that reflects our values: smart, adaptable, and incredibly tough. When you see a Canadian frigate or a Canadian soldier in Latvia, you're seeing the best of us. You're seeing a nation that refused to be sidelined. Let's talk about the RCAF for a minute, because the modernization of our air power is about more than just shiny new jets. Whether it's the F-35 or the Gripen, the core mission is Northern Control. We are talking about an integrated air defense system that links our fighters, our ground sensors, and our satellites into a single, seamless web. If a rogue aircraft or a cruise missile enters our airspace, the response is measured in seconds, not minutes. That is the level of protection we've earned. And we're doing it through NORAD, a partnership that is the envy of the world. No other two countries share their air defense the way Canada and the US do. It is a relationship built on a century of trust. But in 2026, Canada is bringing more to the table than ever before. We are leading the way in over-the-horizon radar. We are developing sensors that can see over the curve of the Earth to detect threats before they even leave their launch pads. This is what it means to be a modern military power. It's about being the smartest person in the room. It's about knowing that while we might not have the biggest army, we have the most effective one. We are the connector. We are the bridge between the superpower interests of the United States and the regional concerns of our allies in Europe and Asia. Our moral authority is a strategic asset. People trust Canada. They know that when we show up, we're there to solve problems, not to create them. That reputation is something we've built over decades, from the beaches of Normandy to the mountains of Kandahar. And it is more valuable today than 1,000 nuclear warheads. It allows us to lead multinational task forces and coordinate complex international missions. It gives us a voice in rooms where much larger countries are ignored. We are the quiet strength that the world relies on when things get messy. As we look at the 2% GDP spending target, we're finally realizing that you can't have a seat at the table if you don't bring your own chair. We're finally putting our money where our mouth is, and the world is taking notice. We are no longer a freeloader in the eyes of our allies. We are a leader. We are investing in our people because at the end of the day, it's the Canadian soldier, sailor, and aviator who carries the weight. Their versatility, their ability to transition from a humanitarian mission to high-intensity combat in the blink of an eye, is our greatest pride. We are building a future where our children won't have to wonder if Canada can defend its own borders. They will know it, because they will see the results every day. We are the silent sentinel, the quiet anchor of the West, and as we look toward the horizon, we see a Canada that is stronger, smarter, and more vital to global peace than it has ever been. We are not just sitting at the top of the world, we are guarding it. Our strength is like the Canadian shield, ancient, deep, and incredibly tough. It doesn't need to be loud to be felt. It's there in the quiet hum of a radar station in Nunavut. It's there in the silent patrol of a submarine in the Pacific. It's there in the code being written by a cyber defense specialist in Ottawa. This is our Canada. This is our strength. And in 2026, the world is finally realizing what we've known all along. True power is waiting beneath the ice. We have outgrown the old labels. We aren't just peacekeepers anymore. We are peace protectors. We have the teeth to match our convictions. When I see the modernization of our forces, I don't just see hardware. I see a nation asserting its right to exist on its own terms. I see a nation that understands that in a world of giants, the most dangerous thing you can be is small and weak. So we chose to be small and brilliant. We chose to be small and lethal. We chose to be the force that makes every adversary stop and think twice. That is a legacy we can all be proud of. It's a legacy that was built by the generations before us and is being secured by the men and women in uniform today. As a Canadian, as someone who cares about the future of this great land, I look at our military in 2026 and I don't see a shadow. I see a beacon. I see a country that is ready for whatever the 21st century throws at us. We have the technology, we have the geography, we have the alliances, but most importantly, we have the spirit. We are a nation that has always punched above its weight, and now we have the gloves to match. The investment we are making today, those $60 billion for ships, those billions for Arctic sensors, the money for cyber defense. It's not just a budget item. It's a promise. It's a promise to ourselves and to the world that Canada will always be a force for stability. It's a promise that our North will remain ours. It's a promise that our allies will never stand alone. This is the new Canadian strategic reality. It's a reality born of necessity, but fueled by excellence. We've turned our geography from a challenge into a shield. We've turned our size from a weakness into an advantage of agility. We are the smart power. We are the quiet power. We are the indispensable power. And as we move forward, let's keep that fire of pride burning. Let's support the men and women who do the hard work in the dark so we can live in the light. Let's be the nation that leads by example, showing the world that you can be a global military player without losing your soul. We are Canada, and our watch never ends. The world is watching us now, not because they expect us to fail, but because they are starting to realize that we are the ones who hold the key to the North, the key to the Atlantic, and the key to a more secure future. We are the steel beneath the ice, and we aren't going anywhere. This is our time. This is our strength. Stay proud, Canada. We've earned it. Every single one of us who has contributed to this country knows that we don't do things the easy way. We do them the right way. And the right way has led us to this moment, a moment of unprecedented strategic clarity. We know who our enemies are, we know who our friends are, and most importantly, we know who we are. We are the protectors of the last great frontier. We are the innovators of the new digital battlefield. We are the trusted partners in every corner of the globe. This is what 2026 looks like for the Maple Leaf. It's a year of action, a year of investment, and a year of undeniable presence. We are standing tall, from sea to sea to sea, and we are ready for whatever comes next. Let the giants flex their muscles. We will keep sharpening our minds and our systems. Because in the end, the smartest player always wins. And Canada? We've never been smarter. We've never been stronger. And we've never been more proud. This is our story. And we're just getting to the best part. Let's keep moving forward, together, as one nation, one force, with one goal: a secure, sovereign, and successful Canada. The ice may be melting, but our resolve is only hardening. We are the masters of the North, and the world is finally taking note. Stay frosty, stay vigilant, and always remember: true power is silent, strategic, and Canadian.